Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about which medical coding certification should you start your career with. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So, if you are a medical coding student right now, whether you are in an HIM, a Health Information Management program, an HIT, a Health Information Technology program, or a medical billing and coding program, you're going to want to save this video so you can reference it back later on when you start deciding which medical coding certification you want to sit for. I will say this, there are other associations out there that call themselves medical coding, medical billing and coding, and that's what they have in their credential titles as well. But I will say this, my channel is steadfastly for the two major medical coding associations out there, okay? There are two major associations that involve medical coding. Now, there's the American Health Information Management Association. This association has the credentials also for the degree programs. So in order to get those, the RHIA, which is the Registered Health Information Administrator, or the RHIT, the Registered Health Information Technician, you have to have gone through a college program, a degree program, depending on which one, an associate's or a bachelor's program, and it has to be approved through CAHIM in order to be able to be eligible to sit for those certifications, okay? But that is leadership, and that is not medical coding, okay? That is something completely different. Now, that off the table, I will say this. AHIMA has 3 medical coding certification exams. There's the CCS, that is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. I don't care who says what. I'm telling you, CCS is the gold standard because it says that you have mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding, okay? You can go anywhere with this certification, okay? Because it says, again, you have mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding. Then there's the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate. Now, that credential I had for 13 years because I'm not going to listen to people that trash talk the CCA. That is a Certified Coding Associate. You know why people trash talk the CCA? Because it says it's entry level in the description, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with it. I had a wonderful career for 13 years with it, and I changed hearts and minds. This credential also says that you know inpatient coding and outpatient coding. It has the most individual unique domains of all the medical coding certifications I'm talking about today, okay? It is a very difficult exam to pass. So because it says, hey, I'm brand new to the field and this is all of my knowledge. You can also go anywhere with this. You can apply for inpatient coding positions or outpatient coding positions. You can go anywhere you want to, okay? Then there's a CCSP, that's a Certified Coding Specialist Physician based. This is all outpatient coding. So that credential says that you have mastered that outpatient coding and that you know how to apply evaluation and management codes, you know how to use a CPT manual, of course you know how to use a HCPCS manual, you know how to use the ICD-10-CM manual, but we'll get into all the particulars here in a minute. Then there's the American Academy of Professional Coders, which is another organization. They are a for-profit organization, whereas the American Health Information Management Association, or AHIMA, is nonprofit, okay? Now, AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, has their flagship credential, and that is the CPC, the Certified Professional Coder. If you have less than 2 years of experience, you will have an apprentice designation on your CPC. This just tells everybody that you have less than 2 years of experience. Now, because AAPC is a for-profit organization, they say, okay, well, we have this program we can sell you. We have this educational product we can sell you, so that way you can accelerate the removal of that apprentice status and you can have your full-fledged CPC sooner. The only thing is you still have no experience or very little experience. So does it really make sense to spend extra money? A lot of people do it. And if you do it, that's your business, okay? But here's the thing. This career field is very expensive. A lot of people come into it just giving out money. For what? I don't know. Because all you need is one. All you need is one certification. But back to the CPC. This CPC says that you know outpatient coding. Much like the CCSP, okay? It says that you know how to use the ICD-10-CM manual, the CPT manual, and the HCPCS manual, okay? So you can use all three of these books, and if you have that CPC, okay? Now, AAPC has a plethora, and I mean a plethora of other credentials that you could possibly think of. Everything. It's got everything. Do you need them? No. When you're looking at I'll take that back, okay? Some of the employers might look for. However, if you're looking at the job listings, a lot of the times, before an interview gets extra sensitive, a lot of the times, they're only asking for the 4. The CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC, okay? When it comes to all of the specialty credentials that they have there for like OBGYN and the ER and all these, and ortho coding, when you look at the job listings, are they asking for these? Not that I'm seeing when I'm looking at these job listings, because I do look at job listings regularly because I want to make sure that I'm up and current on what employers are looking for. Time and time again, it's always only the 4, okay? You only need 1. You do not need to be certified through both associations. The only reason that I say this is because it is more expensive to be certified through both associations, and it is not necessary when you are in your first 2 years of employment. Now, after you get out of this 2-year time frame, and I say 2 years because both associations have where you have to report your continuing education units. And all of these credentials require a 2-year reporting period, okay? So you have to earn however many CEUs it takes in order for you to be able to maintain. CEUs is continuing education units. However many it requires per credential that you have, that is what you have to report. And you have 2 years to report it. So for example, the CCA, the CCS, or the CCSP, if you have one of these, this says that you have to report 20 CEUs in your 2-year reporting period. So basically 10 CEUs per year. Sometimes you can get this as a benefit of employment with your employer, right? They'll give you free ones, and so you can just report those. If you're a member of the association, you do get some CEUs included with your membership, so that also helps too to be able to meet that CEU requirement. With AAPC, it is 36 continuing education units for 1 certification, and it goes up each additional credential that you have. And some of these additional credentials that AAPC offers, like the CPMA, the Certified Professional Medical Auditor, it requires CEUs from only certain vendors. And those vendors can charge whatever it is that they want to, because that CEU is required in order to maintain that certification. Now, again, like I say, if you're in your first 2 years of being a medical coder, this means that you are brand new still. To me, it does not make sense to have somebody have a credential that's a CPMA who is still brand new. What do you know about being audited or auditing? What do you know about it? Because you're still brand new. You need time in the industry to understand what it is to do auditing. And by auditing, I mean like if the codes are already selected, you're auditing to make sure that they are correct. If they are not correct, then you can go in and update the codes as you need to, right? As applicable with the documentation. There's that one. Then there's, if you're in a position of a leader, like you're a lead medical coder and you're doing an audit where you're pulling records from the coders to check their work to make sure that they're coding appropriately, that requires experience, okay? And then there's a lot of other things, but just to kind of highlight, it requires auditing, any kind of auditing, whether you're doing that or whether you're doing something bigger, it is going to require you to have a certain level of competence and knowledge. And even though you may be coming in as a nurse or some other medical personnel, it doesn't matter. If you don't have the experience under your belt, in doing this career field, you have no business getting that credential in your first 2 years. If you heard me, okay, please hear me when I say this. If you have more experience and you just really want to have that certification, then by all means, you go right ahead and go for it. Because sometimes people want those additional credentials as they get more experience in the field because it keeps them motivated to learn, okay? And some of them, they're just collecting credentials. So, because you'll see people in this industry who have a lot of credentials, but no practical experience. So they still struggle to talk about those things. If you have a lot of credentials, I believe that you should have a lot of knowledge. That those credentials should say that, yes, you're an experienced person and you have all of these years of experience. But because it is so easy to just pay for a lot of these credentials and you just take a test, and it's a multiple choice test at that, you know, these other extra credentials sort of lose their luster after a while. I'm just saying, okay? So that's my point of view on that. Again, you can disagree with me. I've only been a medical coder for 16 years. I've only seen a lot of people get taken advantage of in their first year or their first 2 years because they're either trying to keep up with the Joneses, as far as like trying to keep up with this person and that person because they got this credentials, they're going to get it too. Guys, you need to focus on your own journey, because being a medical coder requires you to know what a doctor knows while never having gone to medical school. Yes, we don't touch patients at all. However, we have to be able to read this documentation and understand the nuances, understand all of these things, and know which procedure codes to select, which diagnosis codes to select. And the doctor does not have to use the language that is in the book. So therefore, we have to be able to know what means what. And it takes time. That's why I tell you guys to make it easy for yourselves and just stick with one certification for the first 2 years. You pick any one of these 4 that I'm talking about, any one of these, just one. The CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC. And for those of you who keep sending me messages, because I think I got about 3 in the last day and a half or so, I don't know why people don't pay attention to the description of these credentials. It's the same thing. Blue, I'm in this program and they said that I can sit for the CPCA, or I can sit for the CCA, but I'm thinking of going for the CCS, but I saw that it requires that you need experience. To take the CCS, you do not need experience. I am looking at the CCS, how to achieve the CCS certification right now directly from AHIMA, and I will leave this link in the description box below so you can look at it too. And it says how to achieve the CCS certification. Earning and maintaining your CCS certification can be achieved in 4 steps. 1, make sure you meet the eligibility requirements. And what are the eligibility requirements? It is just one thing that is listed. Candidates who want to sit for the CCS must have a high school diploma or, of course, a GED. That's it. High school diploma or GED. Where are y'all getting that y'all need to have experience? Now, before it did say that it is recommended that you have experience, obviously, because it says to prepare for the exam. It says it is recommended, and recommended does not mean required. Stop saying it like it means required, because again, on all those messages, it was the same thing. Well, I saw that it says that I need to have 2 or 3 years of experience. How am I supposed to get that? Guys, it says it is recommended, not required, to have at least one of the following, because they want you to be set up for success. Complete courses in the following topics: anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, pharma, medical terminology, reimbursement methodology, intermediate/advanced ICD, diagnostic coding and procedural coding, and medical services, HCPCS and CPT, plus 1 year of coding experience directly applying codes, or a minimum of 2 years of related coding experience directly applying codes, or hold the CCA certification plus 1 year of coding experience directly applying codes, or hold a coding credential from another certifying organization plus 1 year of coding experience directly applying codes, or hold a CCSP, a RHIT, or an RHIA credential. Okay, and then it talks about checking out the CCS exam prep bundle. Now, you can go through this if you want to. However, the independent study video with the syllabus and everything that I have for free in all of the description box of all of my videos literally breaks down all the books that you need as far as like the workbooks and things. Now, if you look at an old video, you might see, like, of course, like ICD-10 CM, like 2022 version, because I didn't update from that far back. But I try to update the books that you need. Obviously, just use common sense. You're going to use the 2024 editions because we're in 2024 right now, okay? And here's the other thing too. If you are taking the CCS exam, you can use the current yearbook all the way up until the end of April the next year, okay? So in this instance, we are in 2024 right now. If you wanted to study, of course, I think that you would need more time, but sometimes people have already been studying, so that's okay. And they said, well, how much time do I have to be able to take the CCS? You have all the way to the end of April 2025 to be able to use the 2024 editions, because AHIMA does not switch over their tests for the current year until May 1st of that year, okay? So May 1st, 2024 is when they went into the 2024 editions of the books, okay? But if you're taking it before that, before May 1st, right, the end of April, you're still going to be in that previous year, okay? So that's the thing that you got to know about that. So it's kind of nice if you've, been if you have the current year books and you're kind of working with them and things like that, it's still kind of nice to be able to use them. However, I will say this, guys, if this is the one that you want to sit for, the CCS, and you say, well, Blue, a lot of employers are looking for it, so I think maybe I should go for that. Okay, I'm going to tell you all this, okay? This is the thing that you got to understand. This test does not play around. This is a very, very difficult exam to pass. The first time pass rates are very low as far as like people taking it and being able to pass it on the first go round. Now, the reason that it is so is because this is an advanced exam. When you are in these medical coding programs, right, in the schools, sometimes it's only for 6 months. 6 months is not enough time to learn medical coding. I always tell you guys to get into a program that is 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. If you get into an 8-month program, it's fine, guys. 8 months is not that big a difference from 9 months. However, you should be studying 20 hours per week. I said 20, not 17 and a half. I saw somebody post that the other day and it irritated me because I said 20. They said, well, I'm going through Blue's 3.5 hours for 5 days. Are you forgetting about the 2.5 hours on the weekend, ma'am? 2.5 hours on the weekend, you do that over the weekends, that's 10 hours right there. Don't miss out on those 10 hours, people. Don't do it, all right? Do what I'm telling you guys, because when I'm telling you this is how you're going to pass that test, this is the only way to be able to really, truly prepare yourself, because people will drop hundreds of dollars trying to buy all of these programs, these prep programs and these prep books, trying to get themselves to pass this test when actually they're missing the whole point. The whole point of taking this test is to show proficiency in coding. The bulk of this CCS exam is going to be your coding knowledge and skill. Now, they did change some of the domains, and domains is like the topics of that test. But they changed some of them, but still, the bulk of this exam is coding knowledge and skill. So this tells me, if I'm a test taker, that this is where I really have to devote a lot of energy. And this is why I tell you guys to read your coding guidelines in their entirety once per week. If you do this the entire time that you're studying in those 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, there's not going to be a single person that can touch you, because you're going to know the stuff forward and backward. It's not that you memorized the guidelines. It's that you have that so much into your brain, that you have had it so much repetition on it, that it's going to be like second nature to you when you get into these tests. Not only that, it's going to help you to become a faster reader, because when you're in these tests, you have roughly 2 minutes per question. And that's roughly 2 minutes per question. Not all of the questions on the CCS exam are going to take you 2 minutes. Some may take you a little bit longer, but that's why you have to kind of shave off seconds from the other questions, and you have to be that proficient that you're like, okay, we got to go. We're doing this, okay? So that's the thing that you have to really understand when you're looking at this. The exam specifications, there are the total number of questions on this exam is 107. There are 97 scored items and 10 pretest questions. These 10 pretest questions are mixed in throughout the exam, so you don't know which questions are going to be the pretest questions. And it says each exam includes scored questions and pretest questions randomly distributed throughout the exam. Each exam includes scored questions and pretest questions randomly distributed throughout the exam. It repeats that twice. Pretest questions are for data collection purposes only, and they do not count towards the candidate's score. The time allowed. Candidates have 4 hours to complete this exam, and it is broken up into 2 parts. So you have your multiple choice and you have your case studies. Do not get hung up on going through the multiple choice there, and then all of a sudden you're going to run out of time. You have to be able to watch your time, watch your speed, go with your first instinct when it comes to like which question, which answer do I select? How do I answer this question? That's the thing that you have to be very quick about. You have to be very decisive. And for those of you who say, well, Blue, I have really bad test anxiety and I get really nervous with tests. The only way you're going to be able to ever combat that nervousness with tests, it doesn't matter how much you tell yourself that you're a nervous test taker. The person who is studying 20 hours per week consistently is not going to be nervous at all. You're going to have the normal butterflies, sure, but it's not going to be so bad because it's going to be so familiar to you that this is just going to be another day of just going through and working through a workbook, basically, because you have gotten that good with studying. And it is possible to put in 20 hours per week. A lot of people have excuses. There's more energy put on excuses sometimes than there is actually sitting down and actually doing the work. Because when you sit down and you do the work, you do the flashcards, you work through the workbook, and you're doing this for the minimum of 30 minutes and a maximum of 1 hour, and you're doing this consistently, 3.5 hours per day for 5 days, and then 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, and you will have gotten to your 20 hours in a week. And then you do it again, and you keep doing it again and again and again. And guess what? You're going to be more disciplined. You're going to come out of your medical coding program a changed person, because it's going to build you up as a professional. It's the people that don't want to put in the work, that want to fall back on, oh, I'm a nervous test taker. Oh, so-and-so, my family member says I'm not smart enough and I'm not good enough and I'm not this and I'm not that. And you're paying attention to them. Meanwhile, they're going on living their life and doing their thing. What's going on with you is not going to really affect their life, right? But you, at the same time, you're still sitting here stewing in your emotional puddle because you're saying that you're a nervous test taker, when really all it is you just need more time studying. But you also have to, you can't have too much of a good thing, okay? You have to be able to make a schedule about it, because like I said, for those people who overdo it and then they burn themselves out when they go take the test, then they're like, what did I do wrong? Did you give yourself a break? Did you get up, walk around, stretch, get outside, get a little bit of sun, make sure that you're staying hydrated? A lot of people are dehydrated and don't even know. There's a formula out there that you can look up that can tell you how many ounces of water that you need and things like that. But just pay attention to yourself. If you need a break, if you need to take a step back or whatever, then do that. But 30 minutes, you can train yourself to have an attention span for 30 minutes to pay attention to what you're doing. And you can go all the way up to 1 hour. But then after that 1 hour, you've got to take a break. Okay? So before I get into all that other thing over there, the exam outline is available online. I'm not going to get into it because I've done that several times. But the passing score for the CCS is a 300. The retake policy, to retake the exam, candidates need to submit a new application along with a relevant exam fee, because you have to pay for it every single time. Candidates who have attempted but not successfully passed the CCS are required to wait at least 30 days before their application is approved. Now, before it used to be 90 days, and then they changed it to 30 days. If you have failed, do not take it again in 30 days. Do not take it again in 30 days, because every single test is going to be different. I always say it's a pool of about 1 million questions. I'm sure I'm just being it's an exaggeration, but it gives you an idea. There is a big pool of questions, and every single test is different. No two people have the same test. So you will not get the same type of test when you go in the second time if you have to retake the test. But if you're trying to hurry up and go back 30 days later and trying to take it again, there is a good chance that you're going to fail it again. Because if you failed it once, and even though you may have just barely failed it, or you may have failed it by, a few points or a lot of points, something's going on. So you can look at your scoring, because it'll break it down in the domains and tell you, like, okay, you didn't do so well on your coding knowledge and skill, or you didn't do so well, in this domain or that domain or whatever. Go back to the drawing board, look at what you did not score well in, and obviously concentrate there. But continue to practice on your coding. Continue to practice and get those workbooks. There's 2 workbooks that I recommend for the CCS in particular. Not the CCS exam prep book from AHIMA, okay? Because even though I'm with AHIMA, I will say that the 2 books that I recommend to prep for the CCS is the Nellie Leon Chisholm book, okay? It's the ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS coding handbook with the answers. And you can get the 2024 edition, but the 2023 or 2022 edition is just as fine, okay? Because they're going to be a little bit cheaper because it's a couple of years older. And that's all right, because the questions are still the same. Some of the codes may have updated, but it's not such a drastic change, okay? We're not going from ICD-9 to ICD-10 again, okay? So get that book and work through it, because that is literally the best book. I love that Nellie book. That Nellie book is the one that breaks everything down, and it breaks it down in beginner-friendly terms to help you to understand. That is an excellent book, okay? And then there's a CPC study guide. And yes, you heard me right. The CPC study guide to help you study for the CCS. Now, why do I suggest a CPC study guide? Because I will give it to AAPC. And this is how you guys know. It doesn't matter to me what association it is. What matters to me is the material good? Will it help coders? And if it is, I'm going to recommend it. Obviously, that AAPC book is really good. I'm going to recommend that. So the CPC study guide will help you, because it's got all of the outpatient scenarios in there. And I do recommend, if you're working through the Nellie book or through the AAPC CPC study guide, that you cover up the answers as you're working through that book, so you can start looking up the codes on your own instead of relying on getting that false sense of security and false sense of, oh yeah, I've got this, and confidence. That's the word I was looking for. Stop relying on that false sense of confidence because you're just looking at the multiple choice. Challenge yourself, cover up those answers, start looking up the codes manually. And I guarantee you that's going to make you a lot stronger when it comes to your coding, because you're going to start looking up those codes on your own. And the real world is not multiple choice, folks. So you may as well get used to it now. So working with those 2 workbooks, you get through those completely. You get that Optum ICD-10 PCS spiral bound book. for PCS, ICD-10 PCS. And in the back, in Appendix M, they have a whole list of 388 inpatient procedures to look up. And you do all of those. Those are the 3 biggest things that you got to do to prepare yourself for that coding knowledge and skill portion. And I tell you what, you'll have it. You'll get it. Because again, you're going to be this building you up to be a stronger coder and not have to rely on the multiple choice. I'm just saying. With that said, I got to go because I've been talking too much. Anyway, guys, best of luck to you out there. And no, again, the CCS does not require you to have experience. It just means that you got to really buckle down and prepare. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.